Blessings, 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 everybody out there in the universe. My name is Sean Myrie, and I'm your host of the Down to Earth podcast. Today, I got a great guest coming on. He does beats, beatsmith, millzgrillzbeatz, straight out of Hamilton. We're going to be connecting, chopping it up, D2E style. Let me see if he's around. No. Bless up, there he is. Bless up, brother. What you saying? Connecting. D2E. millzgrillzbeatz. You drink something. What you saying? No technical difficulties, man. That's all right, though.
Technology?
Yeah. So, yo, introduce yourself to the universe, to those who may not know who you are.
The technology reminds me of the Jay-Z song, Can I Live? Can I Live? Come on. All I want to do is talk to people. Can I live?
Yeah, I know.
Hey, this is millzgrillz, coming straight out of Hamilton. I represent Self-Made with Mr. Burns, and that's it. millzgrillz in the building. millzgrillz on the beat.
So how long you been like really serious on your production, like doing beats?
Yeah, since COVID started. So 3 years, 4 years, something like that.
So before that, like when did you fall in love with like the culture of hip hop? Like, when did you find yourself, like, really listening to that genre?
That's amazing. That's amazing. I can say that in, like, grade 5 or 6, homeboy came with Snow, Informer. I was like, whoa. And, you know, back then, everything's on cassette, right? Yeah. So we don't know nothing about nothing, right? But then eventually... You know, I bought some CDs. I got the Takao CD, and I got Fuji's The Score.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the first CDs I got. But of course, you hear stuff before you buy it for yourself, you know. And then I fell in love with East Coast New York hip hop. A lot of Mobb Deep, just consistently Mobb Deep.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else, CNN, Jay-Z, Nas, Big L, anybody really, Big Pun. And then you expand to different areas, and you learn, you know, Twister, and you get Scarface in Texas, and everybody on the West Coast. So, yeah, I've been enjoying hip hop for a minute. I haven't really produced anything, but I've been a fan, because that's where it starts. You got to be a fan of music.
True,
you gotta like it, right?
What's up, Steel City Cypher 905? So, I'm gonna ask you now, like, what is your gear? Like, what do you like to use? People use programs, people use, like, you know, like the production gear. Like, where do you find yourself using most of the time?
Yeah. This is my baby right here. This is my MPC made by Kai. Yeah, so it's got the 16 pads on it. It expands. It's got the slider to add different features. There's a whole, like, university tutorial on it, but I'm straight out the box. I just go. I just go, and then I learn as I go, and I pick up little tips. I watched a little bit, of course, but I just go.
So do you prefer, like, the programs are that over programs, like, you know, the Logics and, like, what's popular now to use? People even use Fruity Loops.
Yeah, I'm not too experienced. I know my worth. I'm still a rookie, man. I'm still very green, and I know I have a lot to learn. I appreciate all the other programs. I haven't used too many programs, you know, so I can't really put it.
That's good, because that's the way you're doing it is the original way of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like you're having an SP1200 and then just going.
So you're learning the foundations of the hip hop culture. With, like, I was gonna ask you about sampling versus, like, doing it doing it yourself, instrumental wise. How do you feel like that? It doesn't have to be you, but other producers.
That's a great question, because I definitely use a lot of sound packs with samples, and you learn your lesson of who's really royalty free and who's not. You know what I mean? And then as you go on, you learn, and, like, with technology, they talk about your favorite producers like Jay Dilla, Havoc, DJ Premier, and they break down how they make their beats. And you'd be surprised, though. Yeah, they might take a sample and chop it into 3 pieces and make it sound dope. But did you know they also sample the drums? You know, like, not everything is, like, note by note, right? So, like, my theory is I can't criticize anybody on how they make a beat, and I can't criticize myself on how I make a beat. It's the end result, what it sounds like. It doesn't matter what you did to cook that apple pie. It depends on what it tastes like.
Yeah,
you know,
like, so, I put that out.
yeah. So just my message is I'm early. I'm learning. I'm not cocky in any way. And I just appreciate everybody. I appreciate just the time here talking to you. That means a lot. You know, it means that I'm making some right moves. So yeah, I just appreciate everything, man. And in terms of like sampling, I like to sample. I do. I'm not the best, but I like to sample, and I like to do a little bit of everything because I do some trap, I do some drill, some country hip hop, you know, a little bit lately, and I'm just open-minded, man. I'm very straightforward. I'm a nice guy. You know what I mean? I'm
Be
just
like
a nice
that.
guy.
That's
you know?
down to earth. That's down to earth. Trust me.
Yes.
So yeah, yesterday I saw you. It was a coincidence. I saw you at the Tony A.O. Hamilton show. Like, how did you like that? Like, I've been to some Hamilton shows, and let me tell you, the artists from Hamilton can perform. Like, they could really perform, right? You get what I mean?
I've had great experiences.
So
going to different shows in Hamilton. Last night was dope.
Last night?
Last night was dope. Yeah, it was dope. You got that feel. You know, when he pulled up in the Mercedes van and he came out with his crew, you know, like it's the same as like one of my best concerts I went to. I seen Wale. And he was at the Mod Club in Toronto on College Street, and he popped out a van too. And it's just that life, man. It's really cool, man. Like, you're on tour, you just go on spot to spot. You don't have too much stability. And he came running through, and he came out and he performed after everybody else, and it was legit. It wasn't like no underground, nothing. It was real nice. The security was there, the drinks was there, the merch. Y'all were doing your podcast there.
Yeah.
It was really filled with like a lot of variety, a lot of atmosphere. And I think a lot of people had a really good time last night.
The only thing what got me off is the day. I think it would have been better if it was a Friday and a Saturday. It would be Hamilton would have really came out even more. Like,
I took today off work. I should be at work right now, but I took it off because I was going to a Tuesday show, you know.
Yeah, see.
So maybe my boss is watching right now. I don't know.
Nah. But yo, then like I want to ask you about like Hamilton's scene. Like, I know Hamilton has a lot of artists, and it gets overshadowed by Toronto, you know, the politics. But I've been down here and I've seen the culture that there's actually is an active, if not more actively loving the culture of hip hop. Like, really all the elements. You see, they have graffiti. They have this summer past, they had a graffiti basically festival with hip hop. You don't see that in like Toronto all the time. Like the way how they had that festival with Master Ace, even
Eclipse was hosting it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying like Hamilton really has a hip hop scene. So tell me a little bit about that.
You just said it, man. When I moved here, I moved here from Toronto. You know what I mean? So I get it. You know, I talk to my friends, and they say Hamilton has a real art culture there. Detroit has a real art culture. You hear it, but that you don't know what that means until you live it, right?
Yeah.
And you hit it right on the head. We had the graffiti. We had the event downtown, crawl.
I know, right?
Super Crawl.
Yeah,
and everybody was coming out with their art. And there's murals put up. So like you have physical art, you have music, right? You have all kinds of different mediums. You have acting. There's a lot of really good underground cinemas and live shows.
It reminds me how Toronto used to be.
Okay. Yeah, it was very eclectic.
It was more like street, like you could, like an independent artist actually could get like a showdown here. Like every show I ever been down here, it's been always active. Like even the COVID, I went to a show COVID with my brother. I'll tell him that's an example. It was packed. Everybody was dancing. Yeah. But you cannot get that. Like, I'm gonna be straight up. I'm a critic. You cannot get the same energy recently in these times in Toronto. It's starting to come back, but I mean like a show where I see the DJ, the artists, everybody communicating, and they're like to put that show. That's why I felt when I seen the High Cats show. I watched the High Cats show. That's you know what I mean, the vibe, people selling their merch. You don't see that everywhere. A lot of places in Toronto, we do cover shows. You don't see that. You know what I mean? And then like a lot of the MCs are going off the top. There's no going over your lyrics. That's what I see a lot in Hamilton. Like these guys who are MCs or rappers, they're going off. They're not going over their lyrics.
Even at the High Cat show, everybody knew the lyrics. Everybody was spitting along to all the verses, and it got live. It was like an old 8 Mile movie at the church. Everybody was like getting up at the same time, moving. The wave was going on. And you're right. Like in Toronto, they have events like they'd have Ethiopia Fest down at Christie Pitts. They would have, Beatbox Fest on Yonge Street, and you'd see the top champion in Canada.
Yeah.
And it had that, but you're right, it didn't have the amateur aspects of people coming up hungry trying to get to that position, right? And having the ability to sell your merchandise and having the ability to network and all that. Last night, like the first 5 minutes I was there, I networked 10 people straight off the top.
You see?
And that's what it's all about. Like they said, what's your goal for 2023? I'm like, it's the same as 2022. I want to network. I want to meet more people. I wasn't satisfied. I didn't meet my goal in 2022. I haven't met everybody. And when you say things like, Toronto overshadows Hamilton, that's a pretty common statement. But when you think about it, we're totally separate and it's not mixed together. You don't have a show in Burlington. You don't have a show in Oakville. It's either one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And the comparison's kind of like not fair because they have their element in Toronto and we have it here. It's not like we have a giant fest where you're going back and forth. You don't see artists going from Hamilton to Toronto and back and forth trying to merge it all together. Just as like, they used to compare Vancouver with Toronto when we had the Rascals and Chauclair. It was separate. So I think just putting priority on where you live and what you're doing and bringing that up. I raised my daughter here in Hamilton. She's born in Toronto. And we just keep it legit. Like, this is Hamilton. This is what we do.
It's a sleeping giant, right? In Hamilton,
yeah,
it's a sleeping giant.
Because
I know, like, there's a lot of foundation people who've been doing hip hop as long as, if not Toronto. They have it has its own history, has its own DJs, and to me, I find it because they had a music magazine here, right? They used to have a music newspaper. I forgot what the name was. I forgot the name of it. But my point is, I see more support locally, even the urban stores. You'll see like the events for like hip hop independent acts versus Toronto, which there is events going on. But what I find is that they don't celebrate like all types of like the hip hop what you listen to, me and you will listen to. I listen to everything, but they don't celebrate the foundations as much. They're trying maybe now. They don't celebrate the soccer tees, or let's go back to like the guys probably from even the late 90s and stuff like that. Like, do you only celebrate 10 years of hip hop in Toronto, or do you celebrate 30 years of it? Like, you get what I'm saying? It's only like,
I get what you're saying.
From 2013, you're talking about only those artists. What happened to the guys in 2003, 2005? Some of them are still around. Even if they're not even if they're not doing anything, honor your legends, honor your foundation.
You're right. Because you go to Toronto and you see like a businessman. He works downtown Toronto and he put a jersey on. He don't live that life.
No.
But then you go see like a Bulldogs game at the First Ontario Center or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you get people that bleed that. They've had flags that are older than you. Like they've been in their seats for like 30 years because they bleed the city. They don't care about, if you're born in Hamilton, they don't care about another place. Like, we really care about maximizing Hamilton and being the best it can be. And you're right, you hit it right on the head that, like, we don't celebrate some of the older stuff because we're too concentrated on ourselves. And that's kind of a new generation problem. They say, oh, I know my history, but you don't really show it. You just show yourself. You might know it, but you don't show it.
That's why I believe the definition of hip-hop and rap and there's like genres has to be really more clarified and separated. You have to graduate. Okay. You should be graduating to hip hop. Hip hop should be like this is a certain level, and you're doing rap. That's all right. It's in the family, but that's commercial. But it's not hip hop. It's part of the family tree. It's part of the family tree. But to be like, like you want that beer or you want that type of that brand, that real brand. That's what hip hop is, the real brand, and the others are you get what I mean, like the little buds off of the tree.
And the only way you're gonna do that is networking with people. I'm in my living room. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to do more. So I'm doing the interview with you. I meet new people. I can get that title of hip hop. I'm not hip hop right now. I get you. I have to go through my steps.
Yeah.
Right. And I appreciate where I came from. I'm not trying to do music that I'm not like. I'm taking my time and making sure I can put my heart into it. I'm not trying to make music that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah. For me to say I make boom bap or trap, I can tell you how I make those beats, and I can tell you how that makes me feel, and I can tell you the emotion, and I want that to carry through to an MC who's gonna feel that and take that vibe and make it something even better. And then we got hip hop. Like last year, I didn't put out, but an MC put out a 10 track EP, LP, and it was hip hop. At first, it was just beats, but he took it to the next level and made something. The song didn't sound the same when it came back, all 10 of them, and it really bangs. You know, I know what you're saying. It meets that mark of having a classic. And everybody you're gonna interview, they all talk about themselves that like I make the best shit of all time. You know what I mean? And I know that's not true. Like you sometimes you gotta take a step back and let other people listen to you and not have a comment. Don't have a comment. Just let them listen. You don't have to coach them. You don't have to get a review. You just let them listen. You know, and if you let them listen and you're listening, you can learn a lot. So and I know I'm on my way, and I know what you're talking about of taking those steps. You know what I mean?
What do you think about the Canadian hip hop right now? All of like all, not just Toronto, all the Canadian hip hop, how it's going?
It's kind of confusing. It's kind of confusing because we got the internet. Everybody can pop off and be their own record label. Right. I'm used to knocking on the doors and getting it done. Like, you know what I mean? Before music, I had my thing that I made my mark on the world, and that was street ball. Yeah. And we traveled and we did professional shit. And this is my second go around, so I'm smart. I know what to do and what not to do. And I knocked on doors, man. I got an opportunity to fly 12 players to Chicago to film NBA Street to do the motion capture.
Shit, that's big. Yeah, that's big.
That's what I'm saying. So, you know, like you gotta put the effort in, and you can't just expect. They're not gonna come to you. You have to go to them. You know what I mean? And right now, everybody is just listen to my song, go to my show. But then what? Today's the day after. Then what? Right? What's next? Mm-hmm. Have some longevity. I don't know. I'm not trying to coach people. No, I'm just saying that.
You know what? Like it's like funny. You turn on different switches. Like if an artist does go to a show, it's like they turn on a lot of stuff because there's a lot of artists right now who don't do live shows. Mm-hmm. For example, they don't perform, but they, like what you're saying, they're on the internet. They're on the internet, and they're big stars. Or they make the internet can make people look so big, right? For example, in Toronto. A lot of certain artists could be blown up, but you'd never see them have a show. Like I seen artists from COVID. Still, COVID's over. That was an excuse. They don't have any shows, right? So going out to shows, we learn even as our platform, right? There's people who will be on the internet. Yeah, they do interviews or you see it online. But you know what I learned? You have to, even as a platform, go out the same way as the artists, or like what you're saying, to see the people you're talking about instead of just talking about the people. Like, do you really take someone serious if you never see them with any of the artists or the people they're talking about? They're just talking about it.
And that relates to everything. I met people when I lived in Toronto that never seen Lake Ontario, and you live in that city, but you know all about it. You got TV and you know all about it, but you've never seen the water. You never touched the water. Yeah. You know, and like, do you know where you are on the map? You know what I mean? So yeah, you have to go out in person and make those connections if you really want to do it. And when I started making beats, I really wanted to do it. I wanted my beat to be on someone's record, and I wanted to hear what it would sound like. Yeah. So step one is supporting MCs and going to the shows, paying $10, whatever, on a weekday, just doing it. And go see pretty shitty music and just support and you know, you got to build those relationships. True. And that's what I'm doing, and it's falling back now. So I know that I've been to the shows, they see my face. Yeah, I'm not a joker. You know, I'm an ace in my deck, and I'm trying to do it, and I know that I can only get back what I put in. You know, like Kobe said, you're on the bench, you ain't shooting the fucking shots. You know, so
like what you put in. I like what you said there. I like what you said there, because it's like when you saw us, I saw you in the flesh. So before this interview, that was networking, right? How was it seeing us at the event? Because
I loved it. You guys are celebrities, man. I seen you and your brother as like, oh shit, I'm gonna see these homeboys tomorrow. This is awesome, man. Like, I just want to say hello. I want to, like, you know, get dap and just make that connection, because you could interview me right now. And then you could just interview the guy collecting the garbage. But I actually came to you and we talked a little bit. I said hello, and I told you my real name. So it makes everything just a little bit more important.
Yeah, you know? That's how you're supposed host the
Respect.
network, man. That's how it builds on things. Like, for example, the Steel City Cipher. Like, you've been doing some beats with that. Tell us a little bit about that, the Steel City Cipher.
Yes, let's talk about that. What's his name? First Degree Burns, Mr. Burns, self-made. Yeah, he's a G. He's an OG.
Yeah.
He's been around for 15, 20 years, performed with everybody. And I met him at the High Cat show, and he came up to me, said hello, and then he introduced me to you within 2 minutes, right? And then, you know, we built a relationship, and he really like was saying some good things to me about opportunity of like, I can only go as far as handing my music to somebody else. I can't rap.
Yeah.
Like you see me at the show last night. I can't rap along to all the verses, right? So I need the other half. You know, I'm Pusha T, but I need Malice too, right? So it was just really nice to get down with Burns and have all these opportunities because he's a guy that has all these ideas and ambition. Mad ambition, and he needs people around him, and I have integrity. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I think he appreciates the hard work. You know, like I show up early, I do the grunt work. I don't just show up for the show. I do all the prep work. Like I went to rehearsals, and I didn't rap. I was just there, you know, and it's just more comfortable with your team. Like when I did my street ball, I had my man with me, but when we had the full team, it was dope. You got that charismatic feeling. So get on the topic. Doing the Steel City Cipher, getting my beats. The best part about that is you're making a beat and you're gonna hear 4, 5, 6 different people on that beat with different voices and different deliveries and different cadences. And it's really cool, man. Like I say, I'm a fan from the start. So I'm making music and I just want to hear different people on it. I want to see what it's gonna be like, you know. So having that and following Mr. Burns, he's given me this opportunity that I can have my music on pretty much all his events. Like last night, the first song he did, that was my beat. I was telling people in the crowd, I was like, yo, that's my beat. I never knew the guy to the left. And I said, yo, that's my beat. Listen, that's my beat. You know, so it's just, as a fan, I'm excited, you know, to have these opportunities. And I take it and I really respect it because I know those opportunities don't come that easy, right? And you got to work for it. So I'm doing some things right, but Mr. Burns is doing everything right.
So if you were, I'm going to ask you this question. If you were to had a chance to produce for anybody in the world, who would you make a track for if you had the opportunity?
Bro, it's going down. It's going down. My day one, my brother, for my street ball days, it did everything for me. He goes by True Baller. He's a legend. He's just fucking... I have no words. I'm just speechless, you know. And he a rapper in Daytona, Florida, Fort Pierce, and he's dope. He got the big tour buses, and he's legit. So
check him out.
You know what I'm saying? And I gave him total respect because he's my brother from street ball, and we just talk every day. But I never sent music to him. I never forced anything on him. And I was talking to him 2 days ago. He's like, Mills. He goes, send me a 10-pack. I'm like, I got you. I'm gonna send you a 10-pack. And you do what you want with it, and I'm gonna get True Baller on a millzgrillz beat, and my tag millzgrillz on the beat. That's my boy True Baller.
It's good. That's good.
It's all like full circle. So stars don't impress me. I took a picture with Shaw Claire last night. I was a little starstruck, but I'm usually not. I'm not like that. It doesn't really affect me. So you know, ideally, I'd love to have Prodigy, but I would say that True Baller. That's my focus. I'm okay with underground, straight up.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So, before we come off the spaceship, like, could you, if you had a chance to direct a movie, right, with your beats, because it's a soundtrack. A lot of movies need a soundtrack. What type of movie would you do? Comedy or horror?
Compilation, eh? I would do an action movie, man. If I could like do some background music for Training Day, my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. If I could do like some background music or just have just a 5-second piece of millzgrillz on something like that, that'd be dope. That's funny because way back in the day, like 2001, when we had the old flip phones, the Motorola's, me and my boy were talking about doing like a documentary of our life and a fictional version where we have characters and who's gonna play it and all that. So I hope when I pass, my kids speak highly of me and respect me, and I hope they spread the word of what I did when I was alive. And maybe there's a video that they could put out because I got tons of footage. You know, I have a priceless hard drive that's 20 years old that I would fight people for to the death. Like, don't mess with me, yo. So I have some things, and it would be really cool just to be respected, because I respect a lot of people, and I'm not a selfish guy. I just want my turn.
Yeah, I like that, man. millzgrillzbeatz. Where you get the name from? Tell me where you get the name from.
Word, I got so many nicknames, bro. I got so many nicknames. Like, I'm glad I'm not a criminal, you know. Like, my real name is Todd, and my last name is Miller. So I went by T Mill in my street ball days, and then, you know, I love barbecuing. So I was like Millz Grills just in my backyard, right? I was just Millz Grill. I was grilling, right? Millz Grills. My wife, she loves it too, man. So she eggs me on and gets me going, and you know, I cook up whatever on the barbecue, and I got the grill going nice and hot. She's a professional cook, so she shows me what time it is. And then when I started making the beats or whatever, right? It just came organically. I don't even remember the day. It just kind of fell in my lap, and it's just millzgrillz beatz. And it's dope, because when I started I relate everything to my street ball days. When I started my street ball, it was called Dime, D-I-M-E, right? So everybody's trying to like make something out of it, and my dad's like, why don't you do D-Y-M-E? I was like, I ain't feeling that. I just kept it straight, you know. So I'm all about names. I took graphic design in college. I'm all about typography and name and culture and history and all that. So millzgrillz beatz just kind of flowed off your tongue nicely. And if you overthink your nickname too much, like when I was doing the street ball, I used to do the AM1 shit. I show up to the ACC, and the homeboy on the mic would give everybody a nickname, and he called me Zigzag, because I had my hair all fucking designed, you know. So nicknames there's a lot to it. So I thought, just keep it simple, millzgrillz beatz, you know. And then I'm more interested in other people. I'm like fully satisfied in myself, right? My resume is short. Here it is. I want to know more about you. Like, I love your podcast. Like, you guys been doing it a long time, and I can see you have political sides, you have entertainment, you have sports. Yeah. You showed me some culture from, I believe, the soca reggae just the other day. You had a guest on, and it's just really nice to learn a lot of different things. So I try and tune into your program all the time, because I know what it's like. I did a podcast here in Hamilton that didn't turn out, so I know what you guys are going through, and it seems like you guys are making the right steps, which is the most important thing. And all you need is just that one video, and you're gonna, hopefully it's me, and then you pop off.
It's true, you know it, man. But yo, respect for coming through the Down to Earth D2E millzgrillz beatz. Bless up to you, man, and we're gonna chop it up again, you know, with Burns, hopefully.
Thank you for having me.
Bless up, millzgrillz.
All right, man. You have a great day.
You too.
Peace.
Bless up.